Hi, today we're taking a look at the new Grandma's Quilt fabric collection from Lewis Irene. It is a real traditional quilting fabric range with some quirks of colours in there too. There are 15 designs that we're going to be exploring, also looking at the 2 different panels that are also included in this range. So lots and lots to look at and explore, as well as Lewis Irene's use of colour. So yes, keep an eye out, it's coming right up. Hi, it's Charles and Empress Mills, and we are here today with the Grandma's Quilt fabric collection created by Lewis Irene, and it is a real treat to have because it is a true quilt fabric range in every sense. We've got florals, we've got lovely soft tones, even right the way through to panels and things. So yes, nice to have. We see lots of different quilt fabric ranges here at Empress from all sorts of different brands, but it's nice to have a real true traditional collection back in stock. So that's what we've got. That's what we've got with this range. As always with Lewis Irene, the fabrics are grade A premium quality, 100% cotton, designed with quilting in mind. They are quilting fabrics first and foremost, but because they are super quality, because they're on a wonderful 100% cotton base cloth, the fabrics are all absolutely perfect for so many projects, whether you're making quilts, cushions, right the way through to dressmaking and things along those sorts of lines. These fabrics are perfect for. So do bear that in mind. I know in particular the florals in this range, we've got some ginghams as well to show you, will be super popular for dressmaking. So I just thought I would mention that right at the start. This is one, I should just mention as well, Lewis Irene have created it in the classic fashion. There's 15 designs in the range overall, and that's 5 main prints, 3 colourways in each, so you've got 3 sort of mini sets within the range. If you've seen any of our videos before, I know I mentioned this a lot, but it's because those mini sets, which actually are what the fat quarter bundles are made up of, that's how they're sort of curated and put together. Those mini sets are wonderful if you don't want to have to choose from across all 15 fabrics in the range. I don't know why you'd want to limit yourself, but no, joking aside, if you wanted a smaller set, then those 3 mini sets are sort of pre-created for you on the basis of all of the tones working together well within those selections. So yes, just something to bear in mind. Right, on to the main event, the fabrics themselves. This is one of the main prints. It is this absolutely wonderful floral, and while Lewis and Irene talk about this being a traditional quilt range, and we're seeing that with this floral, let me begin one of the others. And this one, for example, in the other colourway, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Although they're talking about traditional quilt designs, they have opted for this quite modern colour palette that we're seeing on these prints. These sort of soft tones, coordinating nicely across the range. So you are getting a modern twist on a very, very classic, traditional, gorgeous quilt design collection. So yes, just something to bear in mind, that nice little twist. This is one of my favourites, where the soft tones of the florals just stand out to me that little bit more. That's personal preference. I know that, well, they've already been popular, to be honest. These are very, very popular with the tones really sort of blending in. I love this one because I think that darker background just lets those soft tones still have sort of a burst of life with them almost, as you can see there on that particular print. The next 3 have been, whoops, my card falling over, a classic little blooper there. The next 3 have been incredibly popular since we first got this range into stock. They are these wonderful ginghams, a real traditional gingham print with the little heart as well that you can see there in some of the checks. And it's multi-directional heart. It does twist around, so you get it one way and then the other, one way and then the other, depending on which way you look at it. So you can use, particularly all of the florals in this range are all multi-directional, and the gingham, obviously you've got the straight lines of the gingham, but again multi-directional really because of that. And it has been super duper popular. Ginghams are very much in at the moment. They don't seem to go out of fashion in winter. They haven't done for the past 2 years anyway for us. They have stayed popular year round, and these have jumped straight into our gingham range and been absolute favourites from the get-go, from this collection in particular. It's on the natural background there, and then we've also got this wonderful blue colourway, shall we call it. Again, one of my preferences, I think those hearts just pop a little bit, but of course they do on that softer option too. And then there is this all red one, which is really, really nice. Wonderful, I mentioned at the start, for quilting of course, but also perfect for kitchen projects. We've got one lady who's already bought one of these for a blind, for example, a Roman blind that she's doing in the kitchen. She called up the other day. So, you know, do think about these wider project options when you're looking at this range. I know we've got lots of quilters who watch, but you know, they are fantastic for such a variety of projects. We're back onto florals now. This is a wonderful multi-directional one. Here we go here, with the blue background, and then we're just picking up some of that soft tone colouring on one of the petals there, but we're getting almost, I hesitate to say tone on tone, but a very sort of simple design, simple use of colour, should I say, whereas tongue twisted. The design itself is quite intricate, but the use of colour, sticking with those sort of philosophy of being quite traditional. We've got that wonderful floral design with simple use of colour. This is where Lewis and Irene are always good at mixing ranges up. We're seeing a different colour coming in here with this stronger green background, but it does work so well within the set. Let me just very quickly show you the set that this has been included in, and we've got that's the green we're looking at there. It works really well with these blues, and that's heading towards sort of a greeny blue shade almost, back to a darker green that we'll see in just a moment as a blender, and then the main fabric, sort of feature fabric from this mini set being that floral, but again with the blue background, some of those greens picked up in the floral. So it's very, very clever use of colour. Why do I mention that? Because it gives you a spread of options. If you were looking at that bundle, if you picked certain elements out, you go, it's a blue bundle. If you looked at other elements, it's a green bundle. And that's what gives it the interest. It just stops it from being a monotonous, oh, that's a pure green. No, not with the way Lewis and Irene put things together. It gives you this sort of variety, even within a particular colourway. Very, very clever the way they do it. I could never get my head around it personally. But it's very clever, and it's something that the designers over at L&I are always keen to point out. They work really hard on getting these mix of shades together that work well, but just stop something from being one particular colour. They work well together, but give you a variety. And very much in that sense, we jump from that softer green background to this darker blue. Just look at that one. With again, the detailing just pulling through some of those softer colours and allowing it to tone with the rest of the collection very effectively. I'm just going to move these three, whoops, and I've got room to show you the remaining fabrics. We are on but now very much the blenders of the range. Lewis and Irene always include blender designs within a collection, and in this one we've got two key blender designs, and I think that really just falls into that idea of being a traditional range with classic, relatively simplistic designs, but they have added their usual touch of additional detail, because I don't think Lewis and Irene can resist. So this design, where you've got this almost this sort of stylized flower head, but you've got the extra detail in between of the individual small, hesitate to call them petals, it's almost like a wheel, but it is sort of a stylized flower head, I suppose. But you've got the wheel itself, and the background colour, because of that use of these small dots in and around the flower head, just has a slightly off shade rather than being a pure block colour. Just adds a little bit of texture to the fabric, obviously printed texture, not physical texture, but it just gives it that little bit of texture, that little bit of feeling and depth, and that applies to all three in this particular print. We've got the blue, sort of slaty blue, and then this green there. And again, hopefully it's coming across nice and well. It's really tricky for us to pick this up on camera, but Nat does a wonderful job behind the scenes afterwards, so hopefully you'll just pick up on that sort of, as I say, textured depth to the background. Give me 1 second, I'll show you the red. Here we go. and the red there. And again, it just stops it from being a real block colour red, and gives it that extra bit of detail. So there's that one there. There we go. Now the last three, back to a nice floral, a classic. Pop that there. What have we got here? It's just a little, looks like a little flower head almost. You see how this shows up for you? It comes in this wonderful pale pink colour, and then also in a blue shade. Oops, in a lighter blue, just there. And hopefully you can see that little touch of detail again, a little coloured spot pulling you back into the main range. So although this colour itself obviously blends with some of the others, you've just got that little dab of this sort of more modern colour twist just being applied to the fabric itself. And on here, hopefully you can make out these nice little sprigs that the L&I team have added. And finally it comes in a wonderful sort of sandy beige shade, which has another one. This has been so popular as a fabric since we first got it. And again, you can probably make out that little coloured speck just a little bit clear on this particular print. Ranges, well, rather than ranges, designs like this, I've just mentioned that one's been super popular, are always favourites. We can always pick out in a collection, not always, often in Lewis Irene, Macawa's collections, you can pick out some of their real key prints. Yes, that's going to be a standout. For example, that one. But then there's also some of the real basics, some of the core blenders that you think, well, that's going to be a favourite, and that's been the one in this particular range. So useful, it will go across absolutely all sorts of projects, whether you're going for quilting with this range overall or into other projects. It will just blend so well into so many projects. Right, that is the main fabrics. Let me make just a little bit more room again, because I've got some other options. Oops. We'll see if that stays there. I've got some other options here that I'm sure are going to be popular. We've got the panels, the first of which is this 5-inch square panel. And we always get questions on the panels. So that is the full width of the fabric. That's the 44-inch, 110 centimetre width going across. And you do get these 4 sets of squares, these 4 rows of squares as part of this particular panel. Absolutely wonderful for cutting out, using as blocks, using as placemats. We started to see things like this really becoming popular for, and also for use on cushions. Now I've got another panel just here, which are larger squares, as you can see there, which are also wonderful for cushions, wonderful for forming a quilt around. These small ones though become super popular for it, so it's just, this range is absolutely full of options. You've got this larger, should I say, option, and if I can find a ruler, normally I've got one to hand, I do indeed. Here we go. Just to give you a guide on the size of these panels, that is 17 inches is the, yes, so 17 inches is the main design element of the panel. Obviously you can use into some of the border area as well, and that's on those 4. So it's up to you. I mean, Lewis and Irene even talk about it in some of the blurb on their design cards. They talk about these range, this panel in particular, being wonderful design in particular for cushions, but also wonderful for use as a main quilt block that you can then design the rest of your quilt around. So yes, we've got that option. And as I say, the 5-inch squares. And then finally, just one last thing. Whoops. Let me pop that under my table before it disappears. Just one last thing to mention is that we've got some wonderful quilt projects for you also, designed by the team at Lewis and Irene. I think it will be Sally Ablett, but let me double check. Yes, indeed. So we've got these 3 different, 1, 2 and 3. We'll look at them in detail in a moment. Here we go. This is the first one though. We'll pop it up on large screen now, hopefully. And as you can see, that's making wonderful use of many of the designs from within the range, particularly the gingham. As you can see, that's, although it's sort of a classic traditional print, it's just forming such a nice basis for some of the blocks in this. particular print. So yes, that's the first one. And then the other two, whoops, I'm making a mess of things as you can see. The other two, we've got this classic one here, which is very sort of soft toned. It's using those blues, but also that pop of the red gingham just to give a little bit of brightness to the fabric itself as well. So it just enhances that quilt. It just gives it a little bit of brightness as well as giving a nice soft overall finish. And that's again the clever use of colour that I talked about earlier, how they can blend them together so well. And then finally we've got this option here, making use of the greens a little bit more in the quilt. The blue of that classic traditional floral just popping a little bit on that one, and the bumbleberry border. And I've mismentioned the bumbleberries. You could see the bumbleberry borders on all of those three quilts. We've got the bumbleberries that Lewis and Irene suggests, and we stock their full range. That's their ongoing blender collection, just a true blender. So I know we talk about blenders within the range. They're designed as true prints and design elements from within the collection, but then there's also the more general blenders, again designed specifically to coordinate with the collection. And that's everything. I should just mention one last thing. The quilts, I know I've talked about those being, the bumbleberries being designed specifically, but the quilts are designed by Sally Ablett. She works with Lewis and Irene on most, if not all, of their ranges, and she really does make sure that those patterns work so well with the different collections that Lewis and Irene are creating. I always like to just mention it because I know she puts a lot of effort in to making sure that the quilts work well with the range. So yes, just a little hello to Sally, I suppose there. Whoops. And that is everything. 15 main designs in the range, 2 wonderful panels, the blenders, the mini collections from within the range. It is an absolute all-rounder, traditional designs with modern colours. What a wonderful collection that we've got here. If you've got any questions at all, please do get in touch. We will be more than happy to help. You can message us, well, you can leave a comment underneath the video, message us through any of the social media channels, email us through the website, or alternatively the telephone number is on the website too. Please don't hesitate, pick the phone up and have a chat with either me or one of the wonderful Empress team here. We would be delighted to help. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.